Longhorn Nation, Sooner fans, welcome to episode 155 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, University of Oklahoma, and the University of Texas. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, let me explain what the last 2 weeks feels like for an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Okay? Let me put it in a parable, if you will. It's Sunday. It's the Advent season. I think we all know what a parable is. So, when I was in high school, William Howard Taft High School, as you can imagine, I was not the coolest dude in the world when it came to the ladies. All right? Well, maybe that's hard to imagine. I don't know. But junior year, so this would be fall of 1995, I actually was on the homecoming court. Do you know that, Kevin?
I did not.
I was on the homecoming court. I was not the king or anything. I was like a prince, whatever. And so I went to the homecoming dance. And I was with a girl. I was dancing with a girl for like 2 or 3 dances who I had had the biggest crush on pretty much since the 3rd or 4th grade. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want people to Google it up, Raina Offit Pratt. But I am going to say that I had the biggest crush on her. Okay. So this is, I'm making a point here. So we are dancing. Okay. We're dancing and we're having fun. And then the slow dance comes on. If this is 95, I don't remember the song necessarily. I'm guessing it was Boys to Men. I think every slow dance in the mid-90s was the Boys to Men. And we start slow dancing, right? And we're doing the adolescent dance with I got the hands on the hips. She got them on the shoulders, right? And we're doing this. And she actually comes in a little close, Kevin. It's a little close. And then I had a haircut, right? So I had my hair nice and tight on the sides and on the back and stuff. She puts her hands on my neck and starts massaging the hair during the slow dance. And then, Kevin, she puts her head on my left shoulder. We're dancing, right? Dancing back and forth. And I got to tell you, I was like, every dream has come true. This is amazing. I don't know what's happened. I'm on the homecoming court. I got the girl, the whole deal. I am on the top of the world, Kevin. The top of the world. Had a great time at the dance. Go home. Can't even believe this has happened. And then I'm thinking to myself, my God, she wants me to ask her out. What girl out there in the world's rubbing some dude's head and putting her head on her shoulder? She didn't want you to ask her out. So on Monday, I was like, hey, I had a great time at the dance. I think we should go out this weekend. And she said, you're lucky to be my friend.
Sheesh.
I know. That's
Wow.
who this girl was. That's who this girl was, Kevin. And I did feel lucky to be her friend. It does hurt. My point is, Kevin, beating Alabama 24-3 was dancing with Raina Offit Pratt at the homecoming dance. My hand was getting rubbed. Things were on the shoulder. My expectations were out the roof, right? Then I asked her out, and she shut me down like LSU shut down Oklahoma 37-17. When she said no to me, it felt like I had a 100-yard kickoff returned on me after tying the score, Kevin. And then the further embarrassment was when Bauer Sharp decides to throw it straight up in the air on a stupid play to get intercepted in the 3rd quarter and essentially in the game and ruin my season that was already ruined because it was.
Well, first of all,
how does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, and we kind of talked about this a little bit.
Well, real quick,
we talked
did that
about
ever happen to you? Did you ever have your heart broke? No, of course not. Of course not. You probably broke some hearts, Kevin. You probably broke some hearts. That's what
I don't know about that either, but All right, listen. We talked about this last week after the win, and it was a great win for you guys. But we did say that all the same questions remain, and LSU was just a different matchup.
Well,
it's a different matchup. They have too many weapons compared to Alabama. Alabama's like, we can stop Milroe from running the ball and cover Ryan Williams. We'll be all right. Okay. Alabama has 3 good receivers and a good tight end and a good running back.
I'm not sure that I think Alabama's the better team than LSU. They played each other. Alabama killed LSU. I think Alabama is the better team. but I think Alabama was a much better matchup. And I don't know that I recognized that enough in the preview that if it turned into any kind of a shootout, we were hosed. Like that wasn't mentioned enough, if at all. And we knew that with Alabama, I mean, they had the potential to score some points because they've done it, but we knew that it could be rugged and we could disrupt Jalen Milroe, that sort of stuff, I guess, or at least we did. But dude, once Nussmeier came back in the game, I didn't feel good about it. I just didn't feel good about it. I was like, man, this kid's having his Willis Reed moment at home, Tiger Stadium, last game of the season. They're playing for pride. We're playing for pride. I don't know. Eli Bowen had good coverage on both of the touchdowns. I mean, the one touchdown in the corner, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. It was a really
It's
good
been a hell of
placement
a
of the
play.
throw. Yeah.
Hilton, what, two catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it just.
And again, we talked about this in the preview that he's their third receiver. That's the crazy part. They've got 3 really good guys. They've got Lacey and Anderson, who are really their top 2 guys in Hilton. So it's a lot of weapons. Mason Taylor, the great tight end. And of course, Caden Durham. Yeah, he's had a great career for them. And you just kind of see what they're capable of when they're playing at their best.
I think OU's defense, they couldn't hold on any longer. It wasn't their best game. They did hold LSU to 110 yards rushing. Caden Durham only had 80, I think. Is that what I wrote down? Yeah. He had 11 carries for 80 yards.
7.3 yards a pop, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
But most of them, he did have a 50-yard run, though. Most of them came on that. So overall, not a lot there. Besides that
honestly,
one run.
We tied the game up 17-17. You think you might have a chance, then you give up a 100-yard kickoff return.
Well, actually, when that happened, you guys taking the lead. You're up 14-10 after that play.
Oh, I thought it was 17.
They go. Yeah, no. So you get the first of all, LSU scores on the Kyron Lacey pass.
Let me look at
and
that.
Then Mason, you get the fumble recovery that tied it, and then LSU gets a field goal, and then Xavier Robinson gets to run, and you go up 14-10. Then the kickoff return happens. You go down 17-14. Then you get a field goal.
Oh, and then they score with 45 seconds. Yeah,
you're
right.
Correct, and that's what ended it. And then but
right.
even then it's 24-17.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're still in it.
Yeah, but you hadn't seen anything from our offense. You had one explosive play. It kind of felt like the Auburn game, one really nice explosive play. To JJ Hester. The dude's going to go down as like having 2 catches on the year, both for 50 yards. I mean, it's just nuts, right? And he has maybe a couple more catches, but not a lot. So that was cool, but you really didn't see like the offense that we saw against Alabama were designed designated runs, kind of student body left, student body right with the quarterback. We didn't really see that. JFA had 17 carries for 75 yards, but a lot of those carries came in scrambles.
Yeah,
I thought that, and the announcers. I didn't love the announcers, by the way, but whatever. That's what you get when you're on the 3rd-tier game. But
how about the game being broadcast in 720p? By the way, it's 2007.
Weird. It's like a Mac game or something. And then it just, I don't know, man. We didn't use the quarterback run like I hoped we would. Definitely not as effective and not as consistent. Xavier Robinson couldn't get anything. The running game looked like it has just about all year, both him and Salchuk. Not good. So I don't know, man. The defense, like I said, Stutzman played a good game, but I guess what they allowed 30 points. They allowed the most points they allowed in the first half. Of course, that included a touchdown. I mean, a kickoff return, but I don't know, man. It just it's a disappointing way to end the season. Like I said, it's probably more disappointing because the expectations were so high.
Yeah, you get those kind of tease moments. You think you maybe have turned a corner, and then it's like, oh no, this is who we are.
That was the point of the story earlier, the tease moment. You get it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just making sure you. I know that never happened to you.
I'm right with you.
Let's jump on. Let's jump on to what was the game of the week. Game day was there in College Station. Texas pretty much put a beat down on them defensively. Listen, Vernon Broughton at defensive tackle with 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery was the player of the game. Michael Taft had that interception. A&M could do nothing. The only score was a pick 6. They don't have that. They don't. Now, they almost had a scoop and score, right? They should have had a scoop and score.
Well, they had the block punt.
Oh, yeah.
That they could have picked up.
It up.
Yeah, it was so close to the sideline. I think he felt, either way they were going to get the ball back. But yeah, I mean, we dominated Texas A&M from a physical standpoint. Matter of fact, their head coach, Mike Elko, said after the game, hats off to them. They physically annihilated us. And as a Texas fan, all we've heard since the announcement of going to the SEC and even when the schedule was released is, oh, yeah, you guys won a bad Big 12 last year, but let's see how you do playing in the SEC. And especially you heard that from A&M fans, how the 12th man and how they were going to introduce us to the SEC and how this conference is different. And, I mean, we just dominated them on both lines of scrimmage. It was crazy. They came out and we pushed them around. They got a really good defensive line, and I think they have 3 NFL guys on their defensive line, and they were a complete non-factor for the majority of that game. Also, Mike Elko went. Go ahead.
Did Wisner have his best game of the season?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 33 carries for 186 yards. First of all, 33 carries. You just don't see that a lot in college football. In really any level of football, running back getting 33 rushing attempts in the game. But yeah, we needed them. He was consistent. He was physical. He was bouncing off of their defenders and always going forward as he got tackled. So yeah, I was just really impressed with him and just our offensive line in general. Just going up against those guys. And the crazy thing is, John, Kelvin Banks got hurt in the first quarter. He got rolled up on, injures his ankle, and we bring in Trevor Gooseby and we don't miss a beat. He's still on an island against their edges, and he did a great job. So I was just incredibly impressed with the offensive line, how we controlled them, and defensively, I've said it for most of the year. I think we have one of the better defenses in the country, and we might have the best. I mean, they weren't able to do anything. Marcel Reed wanted to run the football. That didn't happen. We think we let him loose one time in the second half. I think he maybe got a 18-yard game, but other than that, he couldn't get anything going running the football. I was impressed with the discipline of our guys.
Look, A&M they weren't any good offensively for sure. However, y'all, if there's a question mark, which going into the season we did not think this would be the question mark, it's on the offense. So if you're going to look, I know you're going to take a win, especially against A&M. You're going to have a rematch against Georgia. You're in the college football playoff. There's a bazillion positive things to talk about. But Quinn only goes 17 of 28 for 218 yards, a touchdown. He still doesn't look right. There was rumors of him being hurt coming into the game. Arch got you one of the rushing touchdowns. Is he still hurt? Or is he just not having a good season?
Well, it could be a little bit of both.
You had 191. I had 218. You had 191.
You know what? No. That's incorrect. It is 218.
Yeah, okay. But you see what I'm saying? So what is it? Is he not that good?
Okay. The ankle was injured. I don't know I know you were watching, going back and forth between the OU game and this one, but yeah, he had this kind of crazy looking brace around his ankle because he got rolled up on last week against Kentucky. So he had a giant brace on, but I thought, especially in the first half, he was great. I mean, we saw a lot of those. He looked more like Michigan Quinn. He was stepping up, moving around the pocket, evading the pass rush, and hitting guys in stride. For whatever reason, we get into the third quarter, and we have a great drive. We're down in their territory. He throws a pick six. He saw the rush there. He could have just thrown it away. He threw it kind of into traffic. The ball gets deflected by one of the defensive linemen, intercepted. They run it back for a touchdown. It was kind of crazy because, man, this game should be 24-0. So then of course we get back down in the red zone, and then he's trying to scramble, and he's trying to slide, but I mean their guy makes a pretty good play, reaches over the top and punches the ball out, and for a second turnover. It just made the game more competitive than it should have been, right? We scored touchdowns on both of those drives. We're up 31-0. Instead, it's 17-7. And then we get the punt block, which I've told you special teams has been a huge concern of mine this season because they just haven't been as good as what we've seen under Sark the past 3 years. So, all those things came to play in this game. But again, I don't know, man, what to make of it, because in the first half, it was like, okay, this guy's about to have a career-defining game because he was so good. He was mobile. He had a 26-yard run. It was a scramble on third down. He stepped out of bounds, and he might have been able to take it to the house. So, like I said, it's a weird game for him because he was so good in the first half. But those two mistakes were bad.
Okay. All right. So you're right. I was in and out of the game. A lot of that's based on the stat line, not so much the eye test. So are you not as concerned about Quinn as I would be looking at the offensive performance overall, only 17 points, and looking at the stat line? I look at that stat line and 17 points and I say, is that enough to beat Georgia? Is that enough in the playoff? Do you have those same concerns, or are you saying clean a couple things up, we'll be fine?
Well, I'm concerned. I didn't like the red zone offense by him, the red zone decisions. The interception was bad. And the fumble, he just got to protect the ball better. And I'm giving credit to their guy because he did make a crazy play where he came from behind, reached over the top, and punched the ball out. It's kind of just a weird way to. He intentionally did it too. It was just a really good job by him. But overall, I like the way he managed the game. I like the way he threw the football. I like the way he was mobile in the pocket and not just the statue that he's been for a big part of the season. And in most years, I would be more concerned than I am just because I just don't. Every team has so many flaws. Every one of them. I mean, Oregon looks like the most complete team, but we saw in the beginning of the year, they're not perfect either.
Yeah, but they've gotten a lot better. We'll talk about Oregon.
They have gotten a lot better. They have. But besides them, everybody has their flaws. I like our formula to be able to win football games by playing dominant defense and being able to run the football, which has really been elevated over the past few weeks. If we can get fewer mistakes from the quarterback and be a little bit better in the red zone, I think we can make a run in this college football playoff.
It pains me to say it. Like, it hurts my soul, right? It pierces me. But right now, y'all have a formula to win the national championship. If your defense can play like that, I don't think A&M's a great offense, but they've put points up on the year. You shut them out. You shut them out offensively. And that's even with a couple of field position opportunities they had to just maybe even kick a field goal. They couldn't do it. So you looked really, really good defensively. Offensively, running the ball, you can't ask for more. You'll take 186 from Trey Wiseman every day of the week against any team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, as a team, 240 yards rushing.
I just, you know what, dude? Quinn just look, man. We saw it against Washington last year. Okay, he just missed a wide open receiver to win the game, and I just worry, or maybe I hope, that for Texas, can he not make a stupid play when it matters?
Yeah, and I don't know that we. I don't know if we know that yet. He just threw it to a spot where he didn't throw it to the spot where he had a chance to catch it.
If he throws it to A.D. Mitchell, does he catch it?
If he throws it to the front instead of throwing it up, he threw it up because A.D. Mitchell's tall, but he should have threw it to the front of the end zone. He could have came back to it. That would have been the smarter throw. So he absolutely missed it.
Okay, look, that puts you in the conference. This win puts you in the conference championship. You're going to go up against Georgia. Let's look at the week that was, because it was a crazy week. And then we're going to talk about the conference championship games and who we originally picked and who made the conference championship games, including Georgia, and in your case, Texas. Okay. Starting on Thursday or Friday, I got these written down in a weird way. Memphis beat
Okay,
Tulane.
yeah, Memphis and Tulane was Thursday. It was Thanksgiving night.
And Memphis beats Tulane 34-24. So that's kind of an upset there. Kind of knocks Tulane out of any chance of backdooring into the playoff, I think. Georgia, in a barn burner, beats Georgia Tech, coming back from being down 17-6 in the fourth quarter to tying it up to going into overtime. I think my only criticism of Georgia Tech is when you got the ball second in the first overtime and you score the touchdown, you've got to go for two and win it or lose it right there. You can't go toe to toe with Georgia or any team and risk 8 overtimes. It's not going to happen. They're the better team.
Yeah, especially a team that has a clear talent advantage over you.
And you're on the road, Kevin. You don't have the crowd. So I don't think the coach knew the rule, because if you watch on the next drive when they scored first, he wanted to go for one. He had his one finger up.
For extra point.
He had to call a timeout because he didn't realize he had to go for two. And the problem with that is he just didn't know. And I don't even care if he knew or not. He should have gone for the touchdown. Right?
Yes, go and win the game.
Go and win.
You have been the better team the whole game.
And you just score on them in like 2 or 3 plays. It was like boom, 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 touchdown. And it was like, dude, they're on their heels. Run it right at them. Do something. And that's my only. I mean, look, they're Georgia Tech. They give a heck of a run.
It was a great performance.
Is there a more annoying coach on the sideline than Kirby Smart?
No. I can't even think of a close second right now.
I used to officiate basketball games, and I knew that when I had to go up against, or not go up against, but when I had to officiate certain games, whether they were school games or tournament games or whatever, there were certain coaches that you're just like, oh, like seriously? For me, it was the Piedmont coach. The Piedmont varsity coach would always want to come down to the JV game and yell during a JV game. And it just would bug me and be like, dude, you're the varsity coach. Like, stop. I don't need to hear you yelling. And I would even tell him, I'm like, coach, it's a JV game. Stop yelling. Anyway, I know when that official got that assignment and knew he was going to be on Georgia's sideline, that he was like, oh.
Yeah, you don't want to be the line judge dealing with Kirby Smart the whole game.
It's all game, Kevin. It's all game. And and Kirby Smart doesn't have a sense of humor. Like, I even saw Brian Kelly last night, who's kind of a prick himself. Yeah. We've talked about it. But they would at least, you could see that there was at least some laughter on the sideline during a couple interactions, a little bit of like, how can you believe that? That doesn't happen. Kirby Smart is such a douche that the entire game he's mad. And he's always mad. And he's constantly mad. He's constantly chirping. I didn't even have to play him this year. Y'all can play him twice. And I can't stand that guy. I cannot stand him. There you go. I said it.
Well, look, man. I feel the same way. And we're going to get into this game later, so I'll say what I got to say.
Boise State beats Oregon State 34-18. Ashton Jeanty goes for 226. Listen, he's made every run he can. He has made every run he can at this Heisman. And he's going to fall short of Barry Sanders' record, but that was a darn near impossible record to break anyway. Might be an unbreakable record.
I think it is. I don't think we'll ever see anybody break that.
But my God, he's just had a heck of a run.
He's been fantastic.
I don't know if it's enough to beat Travis Hunter, who Colorado beat Oklahoma State 52-0. So let's talk about Shedeur and Travis Hunter first. Let's talk about the winners first. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Oklahoma State. Winners, should they both be in New York?
I can see that. You can make a case for that. I mean, Travis Hunter will absolutely be there. But Shedeur's been fantastic.
Does he win it?
I think he wins it. I think he should win it. I think he's just the best player in the country.
Is there anything Jeanty can do in the conference championship game? I don't know who they play, Nevada or UNLV.
They play UNLV. Yeah, UNLV. I mean,
if he runs for 300.
If he runs for 350, I mean, maybe. And especially since, we won't be seeing Colorado playing for the conference next week. So let's get that one more chance.
I know you're a Travis Hunter fan, and you have been. the entire time we've had this podcast, you're on the Travis Hunter train, and obviously you were well thought out on that process. But let me ask you this: you do identify the hate that some people have for him. Is that just all Prime backlash?
I think so. I mean, what has Travis Hunter done besides dancing after he scores touchdowns sometimes?
I can't believe it, honestly, that they hate him so much. And people try to say, he's just a mediocre DB and a mediocre wide receiver. Why should he get credit? And I look at those numbers and I go, I don't understand what they're talking about.
There's
That
nothing mediocre about.
If he was a wide receiver, I don't know where he is in Big 12, but he's got to be near the top in touchdowns. Like he has to.
Correct. I think he's like second or third in the country in touchdown receptions.
So he's not a mediocre wide receiver. Okay, let's put that one aside. Then on the other side, he has to be at the top of the list in interceptions, or at least top 10 in the country, right?
Yes, that's right.
So what?
He's been absolutely. He has 92 receptions for 1,152 yards and 14 touchdowns.
My God. That's, I mean, it's unbelievable. And so, look, Prime has done his fair share. But look, dude, he took a team that was 1-11, and they came within a game of being in the Big 12 championship.
Yes, no one thought they'd even make a bowl game this year. They weren't even projected to do that, and they finished 9-3.
I completely understand not liking Prime's rhetoric. It gets old, especially this late in the season. It gets old. And last year when he was losing, it was really tiresome because it's like, dude, you're losing. Stop. But they're winning. And Travis Hunter is just really, 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 really good.
Yes,
and
this is a good football team. Yes.
Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, Oklahoma State. I don't want to spend a ton of time with this, but you go winless with all the returning starters that they had, and Ollie Gordon, a ninth-year player at quarterback in a conference that doesn't include Oklahoma or Texas. And let's face it, this conference was not a super conference by any means.
No.
Okay, there were some fine football teams. You said at the beginning of the season, I don't think the conference is any good, but it's going to be fun to watch, and it was. It still is. I think this conference championship game has a chance to be really, really good. You go 0-9 in this conference, should you be fired?
Yeah, I mean, how do you survive that? And we talked about this with Gundy. Are they scared though? I mean, he's the best that they've ever had, right? Are they just scared? But I mean, how can you justify going 0-8 in this Big 12? How?
0-9.
0-9, excuse me. Yeah. How do you justify that?
Clearly, he's lost the team 52-0 against Colorado. Colorado is not a 52-point better team. The talent on Colorado's is at 52 points better than the talent on Oklahoma State's.
I completely agree. And Ollie Gordon, I mean, we all know how talented he is. I'm pretty sure he had 2 carries in the first half. Are you even trying to win? 2 carries in the first half. He finishes the season. Dude won the Doak Walker last year. And he finishes the season with 880 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. How is that even possible?
I mean, I obviously do not care if they fired Gundy or not. It
doesn't matter to us.
But
we don't play them, but
I don't. It's just weird. Okay, that's enough about them. All right, Oregon beats Washington 49-21. Dylan Gabriel, not so much great numbers, but I think he'll be there in New York as well. He's a good player. All right, listen, we got to talk about Michigan, Ohio State. Holy crap. Okay. Ohio State, dude. Like, I don't know what Ryan Day is doing to prepare to play Michigan. Michigan was not a great team this year. They don't have a quarterback. Their defense is fine, but they were 6-5 coming into the game. So Oklahoma was 6-5. We know what a 6-5 team looks like. They're not very good. Ohio State has the best wide receivers in the country as a group, and it's not close.
Not even close.
I don't know that Will Howard knew that going into the game yesterday because he sure didn't look for any of them. Your kicker misses 2 very makeable kicks,
Basically, chip fast.
multiple turnovers by Will Howard. Michigan puts it on a tee for you a couple of times, and you can't capitalize, and you allow Michigan to go into the shoe and win 13-10. And then you darn near let them plant a flag, which the planting flag stuff is kind of funny to me because Baker started the whole thing at Ohio State. I don't know if pepper spray is warranted, but maybe it is. Maybe that was the only thing they could do. Why don't you show that kind of fight during the game, Ohio State, and maybe you don't have to worry about anybody planting a flag on your field. It's just if you're an Ohio State fan, you have got to be. You're going to make the playoff, I think. Although maybe there's some madness that can keep you out. I don't think so. You're going to make the playoff, but my God, you've got to be pissed at Ryan Day.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in our preview episode. They had every reason not just to win this game, but to blow out Michigan, right? The fact that they had lost 3 straight, right? They lost 3 straight. Michigan, not very good this year. The game is at home. I mean, every factor in this game favored at least an Ohio State victory. Like I said, it should have been a blowout. And I don't know what that game plan was from Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and some of the play calling. How many times are you going to do an inside dive? It's not working against that Michigan. That's the one thing that they're good. That's the best thing that they're good at is their defensive line, especially in the interior. And they just kept running right up the middle and right up the middle.
Did
77 yards rushing.
Did Will Johnson even play?
No, Will Johnson didn't play. Also, and then as far as Michigan's offense, we all know their quarterback. They have none, right? Davis Warren is not good. No. Alex Orji is not very good either.
That interception on the goal line to the tight end was so bad. It was just like you saw it happen. Like you could see it unfold because I still contend that everything in the Big Ten, except maybe for Oregon, everything in the Big Ten tends to take place at a slower pace. Maybe it's because it's cold. Yeah. I don't know. But that play unfolds, and you see the tight end, and you're like, he's going to try to throw it to the tight end, and it's going to get intercepted. Like, you had time to, like, contemplate it.
Yeah. He never saw Sawyer. And I don't even know Sawyer was supposed to drop back into coverage. But, the play was so slowly developing that he was able to read it and drop back into the passing lane. He made a great play. And you still can't, like you said, still can't capitalize. Also, with Michigan's offense, Colston Loveland, who is by far their best pass-catching option, he was out too. So Michigan's without their best defensive player and their best offensive player. It's 62 yards passing and 173 yards rushing, and they beat Ohio State.
At Ohio State.
How is this even possible?
At Ohio State.
In the horseshoe. If you can't beat this Michigan team, it's like when? When are you going to beat them?
We know Sherrod Moore got a big quarterback gift.
Underwood. Bryce Underwood coming in next year.
I kind of like Michigan because of Sherrod Moore. I like what he's about. I think he's a pretty good coach. To come out of that record with 7-5 after losing as much as you did, and we know what he did with the talent. He was able to win 3 big games, including Ohio. This is his second win against Ohio State.
He's 2-0. 2-0 against the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And so, anyway,
Ryan Day, guy's a multi-millionaire. I'm like, I don't want to be him right now. Losing 4 straight. Again, we were ready to run Mac Brown out of town, but he lost 5 straight to OU. But this Michigan team is not as good as Bob Stoops' OU teams were in the early 2000s. Right? I mean, I still don't understand how Texas lost 5, but again, you cannot lose.
You should have won 0-2, probably.
Probably so. But Will Howard, 19 of 33 with 2 interceptions.
Look, dude, he was that player at Kansas State, Kevin.
I know, but you have an upgrade of everything around you when you go to Ohio State. You got 2 All-American level running backs. You've got 3 NFL receivers. I mean, just a monumental loss for Ohio State. And can they recover from this?
Are they still in the playoff? They probably will.
Yes. No, they're in the playoffs, but can they shake this off?
They look pretty dejected. Ryan Day was very dejected.
The game, and like you talked about real quick before we move on, the after game stuff. Look, neither of us are condoning any kind of violence on the football field. But if you're Ohio State, you can't let Michigan plant a flag in your logo. most of these guys were in high school or middle school when Baker Mayfield did that, and I'm sure they've been briefed. We can never let that happen again.
It's fine. I got no problem.
You can't let them plant. But however,
They're
the
all
fighting and stuff.
They're all big boys.
Yeah. You just can't let them do it. You gotta at least say, hey, man, But again, where was that fight at on the field during the game?
100%.
It's a nightmare stuff. It's nightmare stuff from Ohio State, man.
Because Ohio State got beat, it gave Penn State the chance with a win to get in, and they did. They beat down Maryland 44-7, so we get to see James Franklin lose a Big Ten championship game and back into the playoff. Notre Dame beats USC.
Yeah, they're in. They're absolutely in, Penn State.
Yeah, they're in, even with the loss, in which they will lose. Notre Dame, USC, 49-35, ends the game with 2 pick sixes. That's another coach I like. I just like Notre Dame. I like Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, me too.
They figured something out offensively. I say that. They also were playing USC. I think OU could figure out something offensively against USC. But I don't know. I like Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to make some noise in the playoff. Now, they can't get a first-round bye, though, right? Because they probably deserve a first-round bye.
Yeah, they're 11-1 in the schedule. For all the flack that Texas gets for its schedule, Notre Dame's is much, much weaker than Texas is. But they've got that same formula that Texas has. They can run the football well. They can make enough plays in the passing game, and they play excellent defense. I'm not surprised they allow 35. Lincoln can always scheme something up. But I watched some of this game, and the biggest thing, just looking at those teams, is how small USC looked comparatively to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
It's what happened in Oklahoma at the end of
They look so small. What is this in the trenches? I'm just like, how are they so small as a team? And I get you want to be fast, but you can be big and fast. Clearly. The SEC is full of guys that are big and fast.
You get to recruit from California.
Oklahoma has guys that are big and fast. Correct. Yeah. You get California.
We do now.
Yeah.
We did then. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my biggest deal. 260 yards rushing for Notre Dame. 197 for USC. And, they had 360 yards passing. So they put up some numbers against a good Notre Dame defense. But yeah, man, those 2 pick sixes in the end, while the game was still there for them to have a chance. But yeah, 6-6, Lincoln Riley.
I'll get to Lincoln Riley. I do think Notre Dame should get a first round bye. I hear you. Their strength of schedule is not great, but they're 11-1. And we're literally going to talk about Arizona State, who I think might have 3 losses. Or they only have 2. I don't know what their record is necessarily. Possibly getting in there. Iowa State getting in there. Boise State getting in there. If Georgia sneaks in, it's with 2 losses. I don't know, man. I kind of think Notre Dame, but whatever. They'll get to host the game for sure. They'll probably be the 5th seed. And then Lincoln Riley, just a major disappointment. And look, like you said, in terms of size and stuff, I don't think it's going to get better, Kevin. I don't know what do you have to see? He's only gotten worse every single year. And I don't see how it gets better.
Neither do I. And like I said, the most shocking thing for me has been the lack of recruiting domination that you expected. That I expected. Yeah, it seemed like, okay, they've got a guy that can at least lock down California. Not the whole state, but at least the top players. You want to get the top players. And nope, those guys are still going to Oregon, and they're still going to other schools around the country. They're still coming across the country and going to SEC schools, right? They're going to Georgia. They're going to Alabama. So it just doesn't look good. You have way more questions than answers, and it's after year 3. Kind of what we've been saying with Venables, right? It's year 3. Okay, we can't have this many questions.
I agree. All right, I agree with you that there are issues with Venables, and those can be discussed. But the 2 factors that help Venables out, at least in justification for his performance, number 1's injuries, and number 2, schedule. Okay?
Yeah.
Injuries and schedule. You cannot make that argument with USC. They didn't play Oregon this year. They didn't play Ohio State this year. They played a down Michigan team. They lost to Maryland. Maryland was 4-7 or 4-8 now. Like, they lost to some bad teams.
Yeah, the inability for them to
close
out games.
Their best win was LSU, and LSU finished 7-5 and 8-5 or something. And LSU,
I think 8-4. 8-4 for LSU.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, losses real quick. Losses at Minnesota, at Michigan, at Minnesota, at Maryland. So they can't win on the road. At Washington. And none of these are great teams. I mean, Penn State, they lost to Penn State. Penn State was at home. But you can't lose at Minnesota, at Maryland, and at Washington.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't play Ohio State. They didn't play Oregon. They didn't play Indiana for that matter. Although, whatever.
Yeah. So what do you do? I mean, you invested heavily in this guy, right? You
fire.
So do you fire him? Do you fire him now, or do you give him one more year?
They'll probably give him one more year, but I just don't know. Like, at least with Venables, you can say, okay, surely we don't go through this injury bug again. Surely you get a chance to make the right call with the offensive coordinator. Sure, all of these things, maybe it can change. And I hope they do. I don't know. You saw signs of life against Alabama, whatever. I just don't think they're there. That's my bias, crimson glasses talking, but look, you want to fire Venables? I guess you can. I don't care. I would fire Lincoln Ryan. 6-6 at SC in your third year with no signs. You went 7-5 with Caleb Williams last year.
Yeah,
it's not going to get better.
Very concerned. They're worse than they were with Clay Helton.
Yeah. Tennessee beats Vandy. That was one of our picks. Vandy had the lead. Tennessee really turned it on in the second half. SMU advances to they were already in the ACC championship game, but they confirmed it with a 38-6 win over Cal. Indiana sending a message to the College Football Playoff Committee, 66-0 against Purdue. Look, their one loss is to Ohio State. It's a legitimate loss. The problem is their wins are all against teams like Purdue, but they're going to get in. South Carolina beats Clemson. Clemson was ahead 14-7 midway through the fourth quarter. South Carolina under Lenore Sellers, who looked like Cam Newton reinvented, storms back to win 17-14. South Carolina, do they have a chance at the playoff? Is there any scenario where they can get in?
I don't know what the scenario is, but they are as hot as anybody in the country. And I've been telling you all year long that they are a really good football team. And they kind of follow that same formula, right? They make plays offensively and they play really, really good defense. And I give them credit because they were down, 14-7 going 14-7 going into the fourth, and they just weren't looking great offensively. But man, they just really got after him in the fourth quarter and made a couple plays and got the job done. So huge win for Coach Beamer going to your arch rival on the road.
What's their record?
They're 9-3.
Okay, Bama beat Auburn 28-14. So Bama's 9-3, right?
Correct.
And Bama owns the head-to-head. Do they have?
They do have the head-to-head.
Do they have to put Bama in ahead of South Carolina if it?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Bama will get a benefit of the doubt because of the name Alabama, right? We know how that goes. But man, watching both of those teams all year, you would rather play
Bama, wouldn't you?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. I want no part of South Carolina's edges, man.
Yeah.
And just their defense as a whole. I mean,
we'll
saw it firsthand in Norman.
We'll look at the playoff. We won't get too much into the playoffs today on this show. But when the playoff thing comes out, we'll look at it on our preview episode of the Big 12 championship game. The SEC championship game. And we'll look at playoff scenarios and stuff after we see what the committee's going to do. We both picked Arizona to cover. That was a mistake. ASU beats them.
A massive mistake.
49-7 in the desert. It wasn't even close. Iowa State sneaks into the Big 12 championship game with a win over Kansas State. BYU shut out, despite having a really good season at 10-2. They will be shut out of the playoff, shut out of the Big 12 championship. They do beat Houston 30-18. Missouri beats Arkansas. UNLV beats Nevada. Illinois over Northwestern. Louisville over Kentucky, and Florida shoots Florida State in the head to end their misery. And 31-11. I don't even know how you score 11 points. 31-11 Florida does win. Florida ends their season 7-5, which early in the season, I think Florida fan would have taken 7-5. And they can't beat Georgia.
Talked about schedules, crazy schedules.
So listen, we both got 3 wins on the week, 2 losses. We had South Carolina, we lost Tennessee, we lost ASU, we had LSU, and we had Texas. You're at 35-36. I'm at 34-37. Let's take a minute. Let's thank our sponsors, Kevin. Brown O'Haver. Brown O'Haver is a public insurance adjusting firm. Works for the insurer, not the insurance company. Call Brown O'Haver 405-735-5510 if you've had a loss to your home that has forced you to move out. So if you've had tornado damage or a fire or flood damage, call Brown O'Haver. If you have to file an insurance claim, we can help you through the process. It's our job to get you more money than you get on your own. Our statistics since 2006 prove that we get our clients on average 30 to 40% more money than they get on their own. Call Brown O'Haver 405-735-5510. Kevin, if people are out there and it's wintertime and it looks like things have settled down and they think their roof might have had some damage from some of the storms over the fall and the late summer, who should they call?
It's very simple, John. You got to give Pioneer Roofing a call. They'll come out, get your free inspection, let you know if you need to file a claim or if you don't. If you do, they can help you, guide you along through the claims process. Give them a call, 405-549-2712.
All right, Kevin. It was back in August. We picked the conference, the conference participants for each conference for the top
championship
4.
Game.
The championship game, the contender and the champion, and then we picked a group of 5 wild card. Let's start right there real quick because that's the easy one. We didn't pick all those games, but we each picked one. You picked Boise State. Looks like that might work out as long as they beat UNLV. I picked Liberty. Not going to work out. You're up 1-0. Congratulations. In the SEC, I had Georgia versus Ole Miss, and I had Georgia winning, so I still have a chance to get a win there. You had Ole Miss and Texas, which I gave you a little bit of crap as a homer pick. I was wrong. And you have a chance because you picked Texas to win. It's not the biggest surprise that Ole Miss is out. They did lose to Florida. Even without that Florida loss, they couldn't have got in, though, I don't think, right?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that because, they did beat Georgia head-to-head.
Yeah.
Their biggest loss, though, was that Kentucky loss. That's what they're looking back with huge regret on. Because Florida is red hot right now. Florida looks like a good football team. And with that Kentucky loss, Kentucky's horrible.
Kentucky limped home. In the Big Ten, the actual game this year will feature Penn State, Oregon. You had Ohio State, Oregon, with Ohio State winning. I had Ohio State, Oregon, with Oregon winning. So we both had Oregon in, and I have them winning. So I have a chance to have a winner in both conferences. You have a chance to have a winner out of one of the 2 conferences. But you did have Oregon.
Looking good for you there, too, with the Oregon over Penn State.
I think so. I think Oregon's the best team in the country. They started off rough. We were all questioning them after that Boise State near miss. But turns out Boise State's a really, really good team.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're a good football team.
Genty's having, an all whatever kind of year.
Yeah, historically good season, yeah.
Dylan is not putting up gaudy numbers, but he's putting up very efficient numbers. And they just are really good. Dan Lanning, you talk about a formula. Dan Lanning's got the formula. He knows what he has to do. This is a better team than under Bo Nix, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're just better, more well-rounded overall. They're really good defensively. They got better receiving play this year. And they have Dylan Gabriel. I trust him a little bit more in crunch time than I did Bo Nix. And they've got a great running game, like they had last year, too. So, yeah, they'll be a tough out for anybody.
I think they can beat Penn State. I think they'll beat Penn State. They should get the number 1 seed. Hell, they could lose to Penn State. Well, they won't. They can't get the number 1 seed, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, only if they win their conference championship. I think they're gonna have to do something about that rule. I don't know if I love that rule. Okay, the ACC. We both picked Florida State. Oh, how wrong we were. Wow, what a crap show in Tallahassee.
Just an absolute disaster, man.
Any word on Norvell? Have they committed to him staying another
I have
year?
not heard them publicly commit to him or anything about him getting fired either. So
They
I
won
don't know
one.
what to
They won
expect.
one game. One as
They
bad
won
as
two
Oklahoma.
actually. They got, but they had that bye week game. That they have late into the in the season that
Like
those schools play.
Samford.
Charleston Southern.
Who?
Charleston Southern. Correct.
Okay.
That's who they beat. They beat them and they beat Cal 14-9. Losses to Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis, SMU, Clemson, Duke, Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Florida. And most of those they were blown out in.
Yeah. I look. Oklahoma has had a historically bad year for Oklahoma standards, and they won 6 games. You
Yeah.
know, and there's a lot of shouldas on there for me anyway. They should have beat Missouri. Um, they were in the game against Ole Miss. They were in the game against Tennessee. They beat Tulane, who up until this week was a top 25 team. They beat Bama. I mean, there's some positives when you look back at OU's season that you think you can build on. You hope you can build on. Hey, nothing to build on Florida State. Beating Cal 14-9, supposed to give you some sort of confidence.
Seriously.
Oh, my God.
And again, it took a late touchdown for them to do that.
We both had them winning it, by the way, too, the ACC. It features this year SMU and Clemson. You had Clemson, who barely snuck in with the Miami loss, and I had SMU. Look, dude, I have Dabo fatigue. I am actively rooting for SMU in this game. I do not want to see Clemson in the playoff. I don't want to see it. I'm sick of Clemson in the playoff. I'm sick of Dabo. I'm sick of all of it. Can SMU, do you think they can go ahead and beat Clemson?
Yeah, they can absolutely beat Clemson. I think
They
they've
haven't
got the
played yet
formula.
this year, right? They haven't played this year.
Let me pull up the schedule 1 second.
I think they can beat. I think they're a good team. Here's the deal, dude.
So do I.
SMU in an NIL world, they can compete with
Yeah.
anybody. That is a rich, rich, rich fan base.
Now,
And they're
who
in a
did you pick for the participants?
SMU, Florida State. Florida State
Hey,
winning it.
well, good job picking SMU. You were all over that early. So
Yeah.
I knew they'd be good. I just wasn't sure how good they could be.
Well, they were coming off a very good season.
Yeah, but just a step up to the Power Five. Now I know that the ACC is not exactly the SEC, right? But yeah, no, they have not played Clemson this year. So
I think that's an
right
SMU's
now,
favor.
I mean, their best wins, they beat Louisville, who was okay. They won on the road there, 34-27. And they beat Pitt, who really fell off at the end of the season, but they beat them 48-25. Beat Boston College. So no great wins for them.
Their losses
as
for
far as the
BYU.
schedule. Correct, 18-15. And that was at home too. But early in the season, week 3.
They're rolling now. All right, Big 12. This was the conference we did not do good in. The participants are ASU, ISU, Iowa State. You had Utah and Oklahoma State. I marked the tape. I went back and watched this video. On the 46-minute and 12-second mark, I said to you, episode 121, 46 minutes, 12 seconds, mark the tape. OSU will be sitting at home on conference championship weekend because Gundy's a weirdo. That's what I said on the tape. I was right. You were wrong.
But I did agree with him being a weirdo, though.
But
you didn't get an argument with me on that.
I was also wrong because I had K-State, Utah. I think we both had Utah winning it. I don't even know. I didn't even remember. It doesn't matter because neither one of us are right. ASU, ISU is going to be an interesting matchup. My brain tells me to favor Iowa State, but Arizona State's playing really well. They've got a lot of momentum in the game.
Yeah, and they've got weapons out there. Their running back, that Scatterboo kid, is really good. He's a tough runner. Dude is almost impossible to tackle, at least with one-on-one. But we know what Matt Campbell's about, right? They're going to run the football, and they're going to take some shots down the field, and they're going to play solid defense. So, yeah, this should be fun. It's going to be interesting, right, seeing this conference without Oklahoma or Texas playing in the championship game, especially Oklahoma, since y'all played in so many of those. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we will pick all 4 of these games, and then we'll probably have to pick one more, maybe Boise State, UNLV. We'll see who else is playing. And that'll be our picks for next week. We'll preview all of those on the next episode. Kevin, you wanted to go over the regular season picks that we made at the beginning of the season. I did not want to do that, but you have overruled me and are going to make me go through this exercise.
Yeah, man. Well, you did call me out for my pick on Oklahoma State.
That's correct. That was one pick. We have to go over like 12 picks for me.
Well, you want to start with Texas or Oklahoma?
Let's start with Oklahoma. Let's just get it over with.
You over with? All right.
I don't even want to look at it. All right. Through Tennessee, both of us had wins. We had wins against Tennessee. I think realistically, you probably would have reconsidered that. I think you might have even picked Tennessee. You had a loss at Auburn. I did get a win at Auburn. Probably should have been a loss.
Yeah. Probably. You got it, though.
I probably should have picked Texas to beat us, but that's just never going to happen.
That's hard. I'll in your defense, that is really hard to do. It's hard to pick against your team in that game.
South Carolina, like you said, we got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the beginning of their 6-game winning streak.
Yeah.
And there was no way in the world we were going to recover from a 21-0 deficit. We outplayed them. We outgained them and outplayed them the rest of the game. But it didn't matter. I mean, 21-0 was just a shellacking. It cost Michael Hawkins his starting spot, although some wonder if maybe he should have lost it after Texas. Maybe he shouldn't have even lost, whatever. But
yeah, I don't think he should have lost it against Tennessee. I am on the record saying that. Or Jackson Arnold should never have lost it against Tennessee. But I do understand why. So I just didn't see enough in that from Michael Hawkins just to justify that.
Ole Miss, we both had losses. That was the game Oklahoma was in. Of all the losses I think they had outside of Missouri, it was on the road. You had the lead at halftime. They were kind of moving the ball well. They were really stopping a high.
You were frustrating their offense. Jackson Dart was highly ineffective in that first half.
Yeah, but then they started using that tight end. It was just too much. Of course, the main game, whatever. Missouri is the one that just is a kick in the footballs. One of the worst losses I've ever seen at Oklahoma. Drew Pine's their quarterback. You don't even have Brady Cook in the game. You have you give up a drive, fourth quarter drive or 2-minute drive. You give that up to tie the game after taking the lead, and then Jackson Arnold has the worst turnover maybe in Oklahoma history. It's possible. It's possible has the worst turnover in Oklahoma history. Bauer Sharps was really bad, but at least he didn't lose us the game. We were already going to get beat this past week. Alabama, we both had losses. And I think we both can agree, at least between our two teams, biggest surprise of the year. And then we both had wins at LSU. We didn't trust their defense. The problem was once we got into a shootout with them, it wasn't going to happen. So, I don't know. There's a lot of explanations to go around.
You had 9-3. Yeah, or sorry,
no, I had 10-2. It was bad.
I had 8-4, and it's it was worse than that. So I was surprised. But yeah, man, seasons can get away from you quick.
Vegas had us at 7 wins.
Okay.
Vegas was right. They always
typically are, man. They typically are, right? They don't lose very often.
Here's the problem: is Oklahoma is going to have this basically identical schedule flip-flopped next year, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to add Michigan, and Michigan, they're going to have a freshman quarterback. Are they? I think they're coming here.
I think they are too. Yeah.
So that's an advantage. That's going to be an advantage early in the season. I think you can basically swap out Tulane for Michigan. I think you're going to have comparable teams there. It's going to be
September 26th, by the way. Or, I'm sorry, September 6th in Norman.
Like second week of the season?
Yeah.
Again, I think it's good that he's coming here, that they're coming here. But The problem is going to be where's Oklahoma find wins? Nico Armalavea isn't going to go anywhere. You're going to have Arch. Lenora Sellers isn't going anywhere. Now, Ole Miss does lose Jackson Dart. I think Missouri loses Brady Cook, although we couldn't beat him without him.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe, is he a junior?
He's a redshirt junior. He's eligible to go to the NFL, but like, do you really want to do that?
Hopefully he does, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does. And then LSU at home, we can beat LSU if we have any kind of offense. We're just going to have to do it. It's just going to be, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. It's just been a frustrating year all around, and I don't think there's any way around it. In large parts of the year, for me, college football is, and for 25 years, it's been fun, right?
Yeah.
Fun. It's like there's been disappointments, but there's just been so much positive. This year is just it hasn't been fun. Outside of Alabama, even the wins, like even the Auburn win was just like, my God, if we don't have two plays, we lose that game.
Yeah. Yeah, to an Auburn team. It's interesting. But what I'm looking for from Oklahoma is, I think, to judge the health of the program, we're going to see what happens with the roster. Yeah, who leaves? And again, we're not talking about backups. We're not talking about third string guys who have never played. We're talking about our starters going to leave. What happens? Are both quarterbacks going to stay?
Well,
what happens there?
For me, I think on the offensive side of the ball, there could be a lot more roster turnover there. And I don't know that that's all bad. I don't know that it's all bad.
Yeah.
Because we're not good. So when you think about, I would love to have the offensive line stay together just so they can have like another year. I'm tired of seeing a rebuilt offensive line. But as far as skill position players, I don't know, man. Who cares who we lose? Like, our Sharp on a transfer. Good luck.
Such an incomplete for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, even at the running back spot, I think the fear is like it's I don't know. Xavier Robinson wants to leave because he burned his red shirt. Okay, against LSU, ran for 2 yards. Like, I don't even know, right? So,
you're okay with a complete reset.
Now, defensively, my God, you start losing guys on the defensive side of the ball because they're frustrated.
That would be incredibly concerning.
That would be like,
Yeah.
So I think that there's some losses we can afford, and there's losses we can't. And all right, let's go Texas. Let's look at Texas. I think I had you at not 11-1. I do not think I had you at 11-1.
I'm gonna say that you did not have us at 11-1 because it's you.
I think I have you at 9-3.
We could have, you could have had 2005 Texas, and you would not have gone.
That's correct.
11-1 for them.
Vince Young had done nothing to that point. I would have been justified in all of those picks.
Wrong one. 1 second.
I would have been justified. Vince Young was coming off an abysmal performance against OU in 2004.
Yeah, but that Rose Bowl didn't do anything for you?
He was pretty good in that Rose Bowl. Dude, the Rose Bowl and him loved each other. He should have got drafted.
They do, man. I'm telling you, they should name that. It's Vince Young Field, man. They need to change the name of the stadium, or at least the field, because no one has lit that place up like he did for 2 seasons.
What a special player. What a special player. All right, scroll down. What did we have? What was the final record? 8-3.
What's on
that? 8-3. 9-3.
You got 9-3. Yeah, you had 9-3.
Right. That's
you had losses to let me fix this. Give me 1 second here.
You're fine.
That better?
Yeah. I did. I had a loss at Michigan. I thought going on the road would be tough. It wasn't tough. Y'all handled that really well, actually. Michigan is not as good as we thought. But man, look at what Michigan did to Ohio State.
Yeah, these teams that it's been an interesting season, and we knew it would be chaotic. But yeah, I mean, I'm just proud of the team for handling business.
And then I was always going to pick the OU loss. So
of course,
And then I picked the Georgia loss. So honestly, I was wrong about Michigan. I'm not ever going to be wrong about picking OU because that's always going to happen. But you know, I look, I knew you were going to beat the rest of your schedule. Unfortunately, from a strength of schedule and a perspective, like or you know a way of looking at Texas's season, is you just haven't played anybody outside of Georgia.
It's funny because you look at this going in, we just didn't think there was no reason to think that Michigan would be as bad as they were, right? We didn't think OU would be as bad as you guys ended up this year. We knew Georgia would be good. Florida, I mean, tough schedule for them, right? So, and then A&M. But yeah, the two teams that were
Okay.
really going to lift up our schedule, Michigan and OU
I mean,
being bad, really pushed everything down.
Michigan finished 7-5. A&M finished 9-3.
It might be 8-4.
Okay.
Let's see.
Is that your best win?
The
Is
A&M one?
an 8-4 A&M team?
I think it has to be, yeah.
What band do you finish at? I don't have this.
It's 7-5, I think, for Vanderbilt. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
I mean, you didn't play. Here's the standard. You're at the top of the SEC. You lost to Georgia. You did not play Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, or Missouri. And then you played A&M.
Yes, and I'm 8-4 now.
And that's your best win.
Yes.
Your best win is a team that could not score an offensive touchdown against you. Now, in some ways, that's a positive thing to look at, right? And it is positive that it was A&M, and it's a rivalry game, and things can go different. We saw Georgia take Georgia, But at the same time, dude, God bless, right? I mean, you can agree. Because the back half was Florida, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State. I mean, you played everybody in the bottom half of the deal except Georgia.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, though, these teams that are on schedule, it's just funny because a lot of those teams have beat the better teams.
Kentucky beat Ole Miss. Arkansas beat
should have beat Georgia. Arkansas beat Tennessee. Florida beat Ole Miss.
That's fine, but that's a stretch, Kevin. That's a stretch for buffeting your strength of schedule. That's a stretch.
Hey, the schedule is what it is, but hey, I mean, I like our chance against anybody.
It doesn't concern you that you haven't played anybody? That you haven't been tested?
No, man. No. No, because every team has so many flaws. Like we've gone into some really tough environments and handled our business.
Well, you beat Georgia, you'll be the 1 seed. Well, no, you'll be the 2 seed, right? Because Oregon will be the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon will still be number 1 if they, yeah.
So that would mean you would play the 7-11 game.
Let me pull up the bracket real quick.
I don't know what my bracket is. I'm trying to think of a 12-team bracket in my head. Sorry. Anyway.
No, this is hold on. This is just on the NCAA's website. I'm going to put it up on the screen real quick.
I just wish Oklahoma was part of this conversation. So frustrating.
Well, yeah, man. It sucks because, I mean, this has been reversed because I remember, during the 2010s, it's just like playing in games that mattered in late November. And for years, Texas has not been up until literally last season.
Okay, so this is a prediction this is yesterday's stuff. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, this is updated for today. This is updated.
So you would. Okay. See, I don't like that matchup for you guys. So you.
Yeah, can you imagine having to play Georgia a third time?
I just don't like that. Surely.
Neither do I. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that unless it's in the finals.
They'd rig the bracket, right, to keep that from happening.
I would hope they would flip Tennessee and Georgia. Because Texas
Yeah.
Tennessee would be a good matchup.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
There's no reason you couldn't flip that.
Completely agree.
I think you flip that, and maybe they do because Georgia loses a game, so Tennessee probably bumps up. As of right now, South Carolina is in as the 11th
Yeah,
seed
they have them in here.
over
Yeah.
Alabama. So what? Now this isn't the conference. This isn't the playoff. This is a prediction.
Yeah, it's just a prediction it's on the NCAA website here.
But if it's possible, if that's the case, South Carolina can't do anything to lose that.
Yeah, their season is over.
Notre Dame, Ohio State, Tennessee, they can't do anything to lose that. Indiana, they could be locked in.
Yeah,
wow.
I think they are, which is crazy, right? Indiana in the playoff. Indiana.
All right. Well, this kind of depresses me, but at the same time,
and real quick, we talked about the future of OU, right?
Yeah.
Kind of let's talk about the future of Texas, though.
I don't want to talk about the future of Texas, Kevin. I don't want to talk about you reloading with Quinn Ewers and a young defense that looks this good and this hungry. I don't want to talk about that.
Well, yeah, it's the exciting part, man. First of all, back-to-back 11-win seasons for Sark.
Who do you lose on the offensive line?
Oh, we might lose our entire offensive line. We lose at least 3. Kelvin Banks is going to the NFL. Okay. Kelvin Banks is going to the NFL. Although Trevor Gooseby, in very limited action, looked very good replacing him last night. But Kelvin Banks is gone to the NFL. Jake Majors, our center, is gone. He's a 5th-year senior. And I believe Hayden Connor is a senior too. I'm not sure. Cam Williams, a right tackle, might go to the NFL too. So we're losing at least 3.
And maybe 4. I think that's an opportunity for some slippage. But you're bringing back, you're going to have Arch. And we know what we've seen from Arch, and he's been developing and slow playing this, and it's good. You should have CJ Baxter back.
We should have Baxter back. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Wisner will be back as well.
What's your receivers look like? Do you lose Golden or Bolden?
Yeah, Golden is a senior. I think he may have another year of eligibility, though. So we'll see what happens with him. Bond, I think we expect him to go to the NFL. He's been first, second round projected so far. So we could lose him. But, we got Ryan Wingo.
Yeah. What about Gunnar Helm, tight end?
Gunnar Helm is gone. He's a senior. Yeah, he's a 5th-year guy.
The kid's a good player.
He's a good player. Behind him, we've got Amari Nyblack, who played a little bit yesterday. So, yeah, we got some guys coming up that we feel okay about, but it's a lot of experience. And that's what's been our biggest factor this year is just our players are really experienced and not fazed by big moments.
The thing that frustrates me about Texas is what you do have coming back on defense. Because that's a lot of young talent there that's playing really, really well with a lot of momentum. And the other thing, too, that can't be ignored is the schedule, like we said, for Oklahoma, where the win's going to come from next year. Even if we're improved, where the win's going to come from. Well, even if you take a dip, where the loss is going to come from.
Now, okay. Now,
because
do you think there's no chance? And do you think there's no chance that any of these teams that we played are better next year?
Let me look. No.
We play at Ohio State next year.
Oh well.
Just throwing that out there.
Oh, Michigan just beat them there. Florida could be a little better, especially with Lagway, and you have to go to Florida. Arkansas is not going to be any better. Vandy's not going to be any better. Kentucky's not going to be any better. Mississippi State's not going to be any better. Oklahoma, I hope, is going to be better.
Mississippi State will be better. It's just not going to matter.
Yeah.
Because I really like their quarterback.
I really hope Oklahoma's better. And Oklahoma in 22, 23 last year, not as Oklahoma on paper was an underdog, you guys. We still beat. So, that game could go either way.
Yeah.
So if we're even just a little bit better, maybe we can make that a game. So I guess you could say Oklahoma is going to be better. So Oklahoma and Florida. Those are my 2. You're going to be better. And then maybe you're right. We play Ohio State. So it looks like you've already picked my picks for next year, which is 9-3.
Okay. We'll see how it looks, man. The crazy thing about this is we don't know what the rosters are going to look like for Texas, Oklahoma, anybody, right? We got that portal out there, and I think we're going to have a lot of guys who are going to be wanting to jump on board. You see what we're doing here? If we win the SEC in year one of being in the conference, I don't care what the schedule looks like. You win the SEC in year one. I mean, it would just be monumental.
Well, if you beat Georgia, if you beat Georgia, you won the SEC. I'm not. That's not disputable. That's not what I'm saying. But my point is, for next year, though, it's the same schedule. So maybe you have a loss to Georgia. I don't know. Maybe you beat Georgia.
We'll see. I'm curious to see who their quarterback's going to be. Carson Beck will be gone.
He's such a weirdo, dude. He's weird, too. He's weird. I don't know. I was going to say something, and you brought that up. What was I going to bring up before you brought that up? Looking at Texas schedule.
You talking about next season? Next season schedule or this year's?
I don't even know. Kevin, I don't even know. On Thanksgiving, your Cowboys got an ugly win. I think that's default. Patrick Mahomes' team won another one. Are you starting to feel icky about how Kansas City is winning games?
You know, man, they've got some weird luck on their side. It's crazy how they keep eking these games out. They don't look like the best team in the league. They don't look like the best team, maybe even in their conference. Right? If you watch them,
who do you think Baltimore? Who's better?
Baltimore looks like a better team to me.
Yeah, but you love Lamar Jackson. And I'm
just looking at the whole team. They just look like a better team to me. Now, again, it's hard. It's hard to beat them in the playoffs. And the thing is, they're still undefeated, so you're looking at home field advantage, and it's almost impossible to beat them in Arrowhead. You've got to make them go on the road, and so far, it's looking like that's not going to happen because they only have one loss.
Detroit's the best team in the league, though, right?
I think easily that they're the best team in the league.
They're the easiest team to root for, too.
Yeah, it'd be a fun Super Bowl. I'll take Detroit and Kansas City.
I do not want to see San Francisco and Kansas City. I do not.
No.
That matchup, I'm done with that matchup.
Correct. Yeah, 2 chances, San Francisco.
I would be fine with Kansas City. I'd be fine with Kansas City getting beat, though.
Same here.
It's a little wearing. Thunder updates. I was on the cruise, but I got to watch the Golden State game, and the announcers kept talking about Steph Curry being out without mentioning the cajillion injuries the Thunder had suffered, including J-Dub in the first half with the shot to the face. And we pulled that game out, and I was in the midst a sea of Golden State fans. So that was a lot of fun. I talked a little bit of trash. It was a pretty cool moment. Shea in one listing is 5th in the league in potential MVP votes through however many games. I find that to be criminal. I don't understand how that guy is not far away the best player in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, 2nd in MVP voting last year. It's early, so when the dust settles, he'll be right there. I'd love to see him win it.
Does anybody get to his mid-range shot better than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander right now?
No, nobody in the league right now gets to his spot better. And nobody has a bag that he has to score from all 3 levels. It's kind of crazy, right? Because when he's dribbling the ball, he can pull up for 3. He can pull up to the mid-range and stop and pop. He can go to the rim and finish. He can go look like he's stopping and then step back. He can go look like he's going to pull up, step back, and then keep dribbling and go past you for a layup. He's impossible to guard, man. I think for NBA defenders, he's probably the most difficult person to guard, especially besides someone like Giannis, who is just, can run past you, jump over you, do all that. But as far as just one-on-one isolation players, it's got to be so difficult to guard, man.
LeBron, especially in his heyday, could back you down if he had to, just physically dominate you.
Correct.
Which sometimes I don't think he did enough of. I think sometimes he played too soft of a game. But Shea, I think back, and I just don't know a player that was as effortless as he is. I mean, it just continues to be just he just makes the game look so easy. You know it's not. You know it's not that easy. And he just makes the game look. And this is with guys hurt. He didn't have Chet. He didn't have Caruso. He didn't have J-Dub in the second half. He's playing with just a bunch of guys that are nice players, but
good players. But yeah. I mean, your top 3 guys are Shea, Chet, and J-Dub. Those are your top 3 guys. So if you're without 2 of your best 3 players, it's gonna affect the team. But I think it shows the depth that this team has, and getting Hartenstein has been a tremendous impact. I mean, this guy's been a double machine, which is you've never had. You've never had anybody like that who's been a consistent double guy.
What's the next Thunder game you get to go to?
I'll be there Tuesday. They play against Utah in the NBA Cup.
Oh, nice. So we'll have the Cup court now and everything?
Yeah.
Very nice. Kevin?
End of the month, though, man. There's some good games coming up that I have the privilege of being able to attend. So Minnesota on New Year's Eve, the Knicks a couple days after that, and then the Celtics are coming to town, all within 3 or 4 days of each other. Should be fun stuff.
I love your lovely wife, Casey. She's a sweetie. But if she doesn't feel good for any of those games, just hit me up. I will. I will gladly take her place.
I've done what sucks is I've made her a fan. I mean, she's always liked the Thunder being from here, but I've made her a basketball fan now. So she's paying attention to the play, individual players, and I'm teaching her about guys on the other team. So yeah,
who's a fan? My daughter-in-law, Jeffrey's wife, Rachel.
Okay, well, see, and Jeffrey does a good job though. He can explain sports in a way that is easy for people who aren't natural sports fans to understand. So it's no surprise there.
Yeah, she's good at that. She loved the Thunder. She was getting into it with the guys at the sports bar too. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. Kevin, have a great afternoon. Enjoy some NFL. Congratulations to Texas for making the SEC championship game. We'll be here this week later to preview all the championship games, including University of Texas against Georgia. Kevin, have a great day. Boomer.
Hook 'em.